Hey, everybody, and welcome to Set the Pipe. I am Sully. And of course, with me today is our host. There's CK. And then there's Bear. What's up, fellas?
Hey.
What's up?
We have a brand new head coach. Brand new. You know, it's not filling too big of shoes. It's kind of just, it's not that big of a job. But Nick McCrae, welcome to Set the Pipe, man. We are so happy to have you, the new head coach for the Long Beach State 49ers men's volleyball team.
It's my absolute honor, and to join the three of you, and all three of you, I was doing my research, as everyone should prep for. I got two Long Beach legends on here, guys that have won national championships, so I look forward to hearing some stories from you. And then from Coley, I got a three-time All-American. You've also played in the NC2A championships, and I had to text Bear, like, hey, is this research correct? You also played football, and you were a quarterback at Northridge too. So
that is true.
I know you're going to ask me plenty of questions, fellas. I'd love to kind of spin it right back at you because I do a good job at giving love and paying homage. But if I were to kind of talk to the modern day coach or the modern day kid out there and to spread a narrative, you come from an era of playing in the late 80s and early 90s. And when I define the era that you're from, it's ultimate toughness. It's pretty much you got to sink or swim. But for those that swim, you've conquered even more. It's pure dominance and just straight up competitors. So the question that I get to walk away learning a lot from you that I have for me as a leader of young men, but then you could also give to the modern day young man trying to perform the sport. What's your advice that you're giving to the modern day era from the time that you guys have put in?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah, really hit us with that right off the bat. We're still saying hello.
Greatness. So,
you're just around. I mean, the world's a whole different thing. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. We didn't have phones walking around, right? So that just brings up a whole different kid. We didn't have the huge club following that's going on right now either. So you're talking really totally different. If we get Coley started on this, it'll be an hour later by the time he stops. So maybe we should ask Bear. Bear, what do you think?
Hey, the only thing I would say, and I tell my players this to this day, I think you just have to show up every single day to practice and work your tail off. Be that guy, be the hustler, come in with a positive attitude, try to be a great teammate, be coachable, and do the best you can. And being a community college player, I've seen it more times than not where some of these kids come in and maybe they don't have the most talent, but somehow they figure out how to get on the court, and it's by their work ethic and their attitude. There's other guys that maybe are really good, but they don't go so hard in practice or whatever, and something happens, they flunk out or they're ineligible or whatever, but it seems to be the guys that come in and work their tails off, find their way on the court. And I think, back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, I had a little bit of talent here and there. I had a stupid human trick. I could jump and hit with the best of them, but I wasn't a great volleyball player. But I thought I had a good work ethic. I thought I was a good teammate, and look where it's led me. I'm, still in volleyball or whatever. So that's what I would say to this modern generation.
Yeah, and before Coley gets on, I think for me, as a light bulb went on that I was behind 3 future Olympians, right? But there came a time where I knew my role. Didn't like it at first. Everybody wants to play, but I knew my role. If it was in the weight room, if it was in practice, if it was every day I had to come in the gym and try to kick the crap out of the first team every single day. First, it was selfishly because you want to go over there and play. But once I figured out my role, it was no. They are going to take us to the top. They are. And if my number is called to go in, I'm not going to have an issue because I've been playing against the number 1 team in the country every day. But it was hard to get to that point. And I wish I had like somebody to kind of say, hey, this is your role. This is why we need you. But I did figure that out. So I think the role of everybody just, is All-Americans by the time they get to a Long Beach State. It's tough because you're going to have to find a role, and that's really hard to do, but it's so crucial to every championship team out there. So that's the 2 cents I'd put out, Jeff. CK, what do you got, buddy?
Wow, I got a lot to say. First and foremost, this is why you're going to be successful, Nick, is because you're just insightful, and you listen and you learn. And that's why being under Alan and being where you were and got to play there, and it's just incredible. I'm so happy for you that you got this opportunity to coach your alumni, to be a part of this. But I'll tell you this, to answer your question, is you are right about our generation. It was sink or swim. Things were a lot different, as Sully said. There was no internet. You went down to the park, and if you wanted to play basketball, you got picked. And if you wanted to play, you won. And if you didn't, you didn't play anymore. There was no ask mom or went and talked to the director at the thing. You either got picked or you didn't. And if you won, you stayed on. If you didn't, you lost. So you had to learn that in just the way we grew up. It's not like that anymore. So the two things, I have two young, well, they're not young anymore.
No.
I have a senior in high school who's going to go play college basketball next year at Washington State. I had my older son who played at UCLA and then finished at Eastern Washington. Both basketball players decided not to play. Is I've told them and younger kids, when they get to be elite, if they're not doing this, they got problems. But have fun, because we were having fun because that's what we just did. We went outside and had fun. We played with friends, different sports, went down to the park, you competed, you learned to do that. And the other one is the word I just used is, and this is a tough one to really like kind of lay it out, is trying to teach younger generations of truly how to compete. Because as I just mentioned, for me, it was like, I don't want to go home. I want to finish playing basketball. I want to play another 3 games. So I better learn to dive and compete and give everything I have. Because if I don't, I'm done. I'm done for the day. That's it. I don't get to go play anymore. And so I learned to compete that way in certain ways, with competing with brothers and sisters and all those things. But at that level, these kids play 50 games a match a weekend. They play every other day. It's we lose, we win. So trying to teach that competitive spirit and what competing, not playing hard is, not like giving your best, but competing it really is, which we can dive into other. And then the other is to never lose track of that having fun, because it's become a business. It's become kind of lame in some ways. And if you can still have fun and really enjoy to compete,
it's a win-win.
and you, someone like yourself, who's taking a 17-year-old boy that learned how to compete, that understands winning, losing, and obviously work ethic already comes with those things, and loves the game and just wants to have fun, you'd love to coach that guy, wouldn't you?
That's right.
Right. And so that's what I would say for me. So great questions. Appreciate you, asking.
Fair enough. The guest asking us. Awesome.
Yeah, I got 2 more questions to tee it off if you guys are cool with this.
Yeah, bring it.
All right.
Yeah, we're okay.
So now all 3 of you have a son in today's era who's a freshman or sophomore, because that's kind of the next young man that we're looking at from a recruiting standpoint. What are the major coach characteristics? And CK, you've been through this obviously from the basketball, but I'd like to hear your advice from the volleyball standpoint, and obviously from Sully and from Bear. Like, what are the biggest thing? It could be from the head coach characteristic standpoint or from the staff support. What are the major things that you're looking for as a father about to send your son to possibly choose his support system in college for volleyball?
That's great. Sully, you actually are sending one of your kids as well. So why don't you go first?
Yeah. So I'm on the daughter side. So I have one as a sophomore right now is doing track and volleyball, mid-major Division I, and then we have a younger one going to a JC. And it really came down to fit. And what does that mean from an academic perspective? How the vibe was. Girls are different. They know the vibe a little bit better than the guys do. But to me, and I hate to be vague, but really that's what it was. Is it a fit for you? Do you feel comfortable there? How's the academics? How's the coaching staff? How do they coach? How do they train? What's their success been? So knowing, I've been a college coach and a youth coach as well, I kind of sit back and let them kind of dive a little bit. Then I guide them a little bit, but for the most part, they've got to be able to make the one. So advice for you, I just think it's got to be a fit, and Long Beach has so much to offer. I mean, it really does. But from a guy's perspective, Coley's the only one on here that's going to be able to, and it's different. Females and males, it's different. Recruiting is different, and how they go about it is different. So, yeah, CK, I'm sure you got a little bit more insight.
Well, I do, and it's definitely different for volleyball and basketball. There's no doubt, just with the money piece and a few other things. I will say this. He said it and fit. And if you're recruiting kids, like you have been a part of it. So I think that's why I'm just so happy for you, because like I said before you got on you were on before we started videoing this, is I honestly feel like I'm an honorary 49er, right? Like some of my best friends are these guys, and I play with Al and Hilly and Winnie and, and Schroeds and all of these guys of this generation, and taught by Deli and so many others. And I got to play on Paul Mitchell for years with Long Beach State 49ers. And so I'm always cheering for them unless they're playing Northridge. And so it's just great to see that, to go back to your question, is culture. And everyone uses that as such a just throw around term, culture. But what does culture really mean? You can go into two homes, see parents yelling at each other, kids fighting, getting in trouble at school, or you can see another family that's loving, that spends dinners together, that are at their kids' classrooms talking to their teachers. Like, I'm not saying, we're not saying who they, I'm just saying that's two different kinds of cultures within their home, right? They're still two parents, they're probably working, the kids, but they're obviously instilling something that matters to them to be successful. Now, it doesn't mean the LA family's not successful and not going to be, but those things really matter. And that's what I've loved about Long Beach when Alan was playing at it, right? And that's what I've loved since Alan has been coaching at it, is that culture that Long Beach has and the alumni have. And I'm telling you this, Nick, and I'm sure you know, nobody has it. And I love UCLA and I love Stanford, and some of my good friends went there. They don't have what you guys have, because they have Kareem and Bill Walton and Jackie Joyner and a few others I could go down the road that are amazing. You guys are everything to the school, to the program, and the way you've built that culture. So to go back to your question, culture is one of them. Do you guys have fun? Do you put the children, the young men first? Is winning more important? Is a kid that broke his arm that is probably a national team guy, do you care about that? Or are you putting him back in to get an extra point? Like, what matters to you in the culture of your program is what translates to years later of success off the court, bringing back to the program. So culture is one of them. And the other one is fit. Like, if you're recruiting a 6'2" setter that's super fast, but you really just want to have blocking at the net and you want to run a slow offense because you got big guys, why would he want to come to your school, and why would you want him? Just like, why would you recruit an option quarterback to someone that has, drop back passing and is an NFL style quarterback? It just doesn't make sense. So in volleyball, it's the same thing. Hoops, it's way more. And I learned my lesson, or we've learned our lessons over the years to find that. So culture, decency within the men or women that are on the staff, because that should be. These are young men. I'm sending my child to you to raise him, and let's keep it real. That's what's happening. And people can say whatever they want in sports and the money. I don't care if you're still going to Penn State and you're making $10 million a year to play whatever sport. These adults are raising my child when they're there. Yeah. They're there so much. They're in school. They're in classroom help. They're in practice. They're in this. They're in that. They're with their girlfriend breakups. You name it. It goes on. So culture, fit, decency, and of course, this is why you play sports. You want someone that wants to win and puts that not above what I just mentioned, but that is in the bullseye with all of that, because winning is part of a culture that breeds success, that breeds happiness, that breeds fun, but you have to keep all of it together. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but having a child going through it and finding a school that I believe has all of those for him is why he chose Washington State. But again, great questions. Appreciate it.
Coley long-winded? That's never the case.
I'm not a big talker, Nick, if you haven't noticed.
I love it. No, I got two girls. I got a 5-year-old is my oldest daughter, Reese. I got a 4-year-old son, Niles, and I got a 9-month-old daughter, Maeve. So I'm about 10 years behind as far as what you're going through from the recruiting process. So I have a lens up here, but I'm also talking to you guys as 3 fathers as well.
Yeah. And it's it'll be different and you've been around this game for a while. It was different than when my wife and I played sports. It was different when my oldest son graduated in 2019. That's not 25 years. It's just 2019. vastly different from 2019 to 2026 right now, beyond different. So
Yeah, crazy.
I got to think.
One more question.
Me,
Oh, sorry.
For me, it would be just NIL. Just how much money can my kid make? That's what that's. No, I mean, how do you piggyback on what they just said? I mean, what they said was perfect, and like kind of like that decency thing. Coley was talking about it, like the guys just being an alumni at Long Beach. I would want my son or daughter to go to a school that the players show the respect. It's like, I cannot believe how respectful your players are, and I know that comes from the top. Like, we come in there and they're so respectful to us, and I'm sure they're respectful to other parents, other players, all that stuff. And it's kind of a sense of culture, but family too. You guys seem like it's more than just a volleyball team. You guys are a family there. And
I would put you guys. I would put you in there too, Bear.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'm just saying from an outside, I feel like I'm part of the family. But as a program, I would want my son or daughter to go into a program that they're more of a family. And obviously with the winning and everything too, I'm not going to repeat everything they said because they were spot on.
You know, I'm going to say one last thing, Nick, about the money. I was joking because he mentioned NIL, and you're a coach and you're starting a program that's the best in the country. I mean, we can say whatever we want. You've been, 8, 9 Final Fours. And the thing that I think a lot of parents are missing now, again, it's a very difficult discussion if someone's offering your child $10 million or $8 million. But I think all of the things you asked and that both Sully and I answered are being lost in the money part of the business. The experience, the good coach, the camaraderie, the family atmosphere, the right culture, the right style of play. Like I said, if you're an option quarterback and they're running a drop back quarterback, so what if they give you $5 million? I mean, granted, if that's what you want to make the money, I'm saying, but if you want to continue playing football and then you go spend that $5 million in 2 years and your whole 5 years of college experience is terrible and you've lost your money. And there's just a lot of ways I see it just being kind of sad. And those things that you guys possess, and I know you're going to continue it, is just, it's gold and it's different. And, Northridge and Theo are trying to emulate it. Al helped him when he first started. We're state schools, with the funding and all of that stuff, to try to build something like that, to be so successful and continued success is very hard to do in the modern era of college sports. And you guys have done it. And I can't wait to see the continued success with it just because of what you guys have built there.
I appreciate you putting me in that umbrella side by side with Al, but hopefully this tees it up to start talking about Al, because he's the one that obviously showed me the entire way from a family man standpoint, from a father figure standpoint, a leader standpoint, everything that I know from the craft. I've been saying this, and I'll say this for the rest of my career, but I've been saying this most recently with the news and people have been asking questions. Like, Al helped open the door for a young Nick McCrae and bring me into a room that I had no part being a part of that room of greatness. So now it's my job just to take the model of how he's treated me, and he's done that with everybody. And now it's great. I get to do the exact same thing while also making sure the greats of our craft. That's why I started off asking you guys the questions. Your narrative will always be celebrated, of course, within our guys and our program at Long Beach State, but then hopefully within our entire sport of volleyball too. And that's for me flexing like this, like, all right, I get to have a seat at the table to help the guys and the greats that have done it within the future generation and just be a middleman of connecting those two tiers together. So that's something I'm super excited about.
That's awesome. In regards to Alan, one thing that really sparked me, and I guess I kind of knew this, but after you guys have just won the national championship, no pressure when you win it, he did come on the night after. Just so you know, I know we go way back. I'm just saying
that night.
He went on the night after. But one thing he said about the match, and he was saying, like, the things that happened, a few subs and stuff, is he said the one thing we do differently than a lot, and I've instilled in our guys, is we train every day like harder than this match, right? And the way we train and how we train makes these kind of games, matches super fun. And we've already been there before. And so How do you continue that kind of style of bringing the right guys in after Alan leaves? You know, you see it with a lot of great coaches from football to basketball, people stepping down, like, you know, Saban just left at Alabama. You know, the year after he leaves, they don't have the best year, right? And, you know, this year they're in the playoff again, right? Year later, they're in the playoff. How do you take what you've learned from Alan, but what you've learned from yourself as well from all these years of volleyball, and continue that and even elevate it to the next level?
That's the goal. So right now it's a maintain. Like, we've got our guys this year that Alan allowed, like, because he didn't hang it up after the last season. Like, we went through this fall together, and then this news just occurred. So we have our current team. So we're maintaining this year. We're sustaining because, like, day 2 after this happened, once our bubble and our family members were all dialed in, then it was ensuring, okay, making sure our class of 2026 and 2027 was confirmed, and 8 out of 8, everybody's confirmed, still going. So that kind of tees up the next 5 years, and then sustain, maintain, and then grow for even more. And that's the objective. But that's also using, okay, what type of guys, in all honesty, this is the USA hat that I've learned from Al too, and the Long Beach hat. Like, which guys are Long Beach guys? Which guys have already encountered adversity? Which guys have heard no in their lifetime and correctly responded? So those are the things when I'm looking now at the class of 2027 and 2028. Like, okay, which guys have an edge? And Alan has shown me those competitors that have a true edge. Alan has shown me, and I've been by his side for quite a few, of how to harness that in the right direction. And at least what I've gathered, and all I know is Long Beach State, some other coaches tend to either put a ceiling or put a box around those guys. Like, no, you have to act this way. And working for Alan and seeing that, again, 49er, Long Beach black and gold leader, who's also been our national team coach. Like, that's also my goal, to maintain Long Beach State and then be a national team coach that's representing at the highest level. You have to be able to learn to manage egos and help them be themselves and be a little edgy. So it's a little bit of all that, I guess.
That's awesome. So listen, first of all, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe and set the pipe. But any of you young volleyball players out there listening, we have the head coach of Long Beach State, and he's giving you some nuggets. He's talking about competing. He didn't talk about how many kills you got. You know, he didn't say that. He talked about competing, being on edge, being a great teammate, doing things that can better you to have someone notice you. Those are the little things that breed to success. Not everyone gets to, you know, everyone doesn't get to beat Brent Hilliard and swing at 122 balls a match. Sometimes you need to block it. Sometimes you need to cover it. Sometimes you just need to be there. And so great little tidbit for the youngsters out there on learning what it takes to be successful. And one is compete, right? Be competitive and be aggressive and go after what you want to get, whatever that may be. Awesome.
So you touched a little bit on Alan leaving, right? Especially at this time of the year, after the first semester's over. I don't think, you know, I've talked with Alan a little bit. I'm like, why wouldn't you wait till the season's over and this, that, why'd you do it now? And he's like, there's really no good time, because anytime you do, there's fallout, I guess, or whatever you could say. Mm-hmm. How did the team take it at this time of year? And how are they responding to all this?
I used the quote back to Al that it was awesome, because he said, hey, my dad actually told me that quote, because Alan had told me a quote years ago, and it was from a funeral standpoint, and I'll connect it back to this situation. And you can't judge someone with how they respond at a funeral. Some people cry, some people smile, some people are very stoic, and you can't want something out. So when we were about to go down and tell the team, which we had already told the 5 seniors up in the offices, but we were about to go down and tell the team and said, hey, Al, for me, my ego's aside, and you are the greatest. So I made sure to tell myself, but remind him, we can't judge the guys with how they respond to this information. And we're going to allow them to be themselves. It's going to be in a safe place. And there was this reaction of tears. There was this reaction of joy. Of course, at the end of all of it, it was all about connections and ensuring that I stay connected with them, that they are bought into the vision, as they are all bought into the vision. And then the flip side of that, hey, let's also make sure when you get through your initial reactions and emotions that are totally fine, we're going to celebrate Alan through this time too, because this is a pretty cool situation. So through this time, let's also make sure we honor one of the best to have ever teed up. And so that was kind of the plan of attack there. And again, with the first 24 hours, it was just check-ins and contacts with the guys, and then making sure they were checking in with Al, and then also telling the narrative and ensuring that, look, Al's going to go to Europe for a few weeks, and then he'll be back in mid-January. And I've been telling everybody, then he's going to bring professional men's volleyball to the entire United States. And guys, he's still going to get you. Like for the seniors, we're opening every door, so they're going to be dialed in to go play professional volleyball. Al's going to be an active participant through that. And for our juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, it's like we have an entire support system in place. And part of that support system, Bear and Sully, it's you guys from the alumni support. So at the end of that first week, we went through a ton, and then we had about 100 alumni that were in the house, and our guys were there connecting with the alumni, seeing that side, and just cultivating the relationships and trying to build and stack from there.
Love it. So yeah, you mentioned about how Al was talking about this is the kind of players that you want. That went back to the late 80s, early 90s, being told no and quote unquote, gosh, you're not good enough to go to the UCLA or the SC or the Stanford. And I mean, and Northridge can probably feel the same way, as well as San Diego State when they had a program. We were kind of the blue collar. We weren't the blue chippers, right? And even when we won the national championship, it was still the same vibe. Right. So for you, I think that's probably where Al got it, is just that is his foundation of I need these guys to be able to battle, and how are they going to react if it doesn't go their way, and to develop the toughness that you did. And like Coley mentioned about the practices, that's going to come easy to a blue collar kid. They're going to go at it tooth and nail every practice. So come match time, this is fun. This is where we're going to bring it. Our practices are harder, and we compete a lot harder than what we do at that level, and you're going to be able to sustain that at a very high level. So yeah, that was good to hear. It was I can see where Al got that from way back when, and he's still continuing it today. So good stuff.
I appreciate that. I mean, you take that, you got the blue collar kid, and then you got the kid that's saying no to all those other schools. Right. Long Beach is number one, and the proof is in the pudding that I get to learn, have been around all the greats. We've got guys that are coming here. They want to win national championships. That's one of their primary goals. Yeah. CK, you brought it up. We've been to 8 of the last 9 Final Fours. We've won 3 championships, played in 5 finals. And then it's guys want to go be prepared to play in the biggest and baddest professional leagues overseas. And then guys want to go be future Olympians. So it's setting up that infrastructure. And then the moment that a young man doesn't want to pursue volleyball anymore, or if he does get injured, like, I'm not throwing them out into a bad situation or putting them aside because they don't have the same volleyball vision. It's okay, what are your goals and interests post volleyball, and how can I open all of the doors? Just like that door was open for me from Alan. And the story, if you've heard it, I'm going to say it again.
So love to hear it. Yeah,
please tell us.
Yeah. So on my recruiting visit, and I'm Long Beach born and raised.
Yeah, Long Beach Wilson High School.
Wilson High School. I live a block from campus. That's the house that I grew up in, and my dad still lives there. Now with my wife, Ashley, and 3 kids, I just live a different block from campus. So I came into Alan's office, and he was recruiting me to Long Beach State. It was the end of my junior year in high school, and part of the questions that occurred was, okay, Nick, and we asked the same thing to recruits today, to ensure that they take full ownership and I'm not pulling them along, or we aren't pulling them along towards a goal they might not want to achieve. It's, hey, Nick, what are you interested in doing post volleyball? And 17-year-old me said, well, possibly coaching. And then I graduated in 2012. I got my degree in business finance here at Long Beach. I was going to go into investments, and Al was the national team coach in 2012. And we had still had check-ins. And as I wasn't his only call, he's calling every young man that he brought here to Long Beach State, just like we'll continue to do. Of, hey, how can I help? What's the situation? What are you going into? And our conversation aligned of, hey, are you interested in coaching? I'm going back to Long Beach at the end of the Olympics. And actually that summer, actually, Bear, I went with you. That was that 2012 summer. We went to the Dominican Republic. So Al teamed me up.
We were roommates,
on,
by the way.
Yeah, the
on
USA
that
Pan
trip.
Am
Yeah.
team. So
Yeah.
it's like, dude, how did like
The Pan Am Cup.
in
It was awesome.
2012, all the doors again that were open for me. It's like, holy moly, are you kidding me? And I say this of like, it's okay now. And this is to young men and women. If someone opens the door for you, it's okay. And when you get in that door, you just got to bust your ass and put in the work. And that's the most important thing. So I'm very proud. Hopefully Al will say the same thing. When that door was open, Nick did put in the work, and here we are today.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear the culture shift. When I went on that's a whole different story of how I got spotted, but I was in the office with Ray Rattel, and he asked the same question.
Damn it! Love you, Ray. Sorry. Go ahead. I got the paper too.
Basically, he says, "What do you want to get out of playing at Long Beach State?" I said, "Well, I want to be Player of the Year, and I want to win a national championship." And he laughed. And
not Ray. He wouldn't do.
In 4 years or 5 years after I had left, my dad kind of confronted him because remember that time my son asked you about national championship? He goes, and he was honest. He gogoes, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't, and we were number 6 in the country at that time, right?
There's 8 teams. Yeah,
to admit that, but that was the mind shift. It was just like, hey, we're going to compete the best we can. And I came from I want to freaking win. Like I want to win it all, right? From any sport I played in high school, like we're going to win this all. And so I'm very proud of how it shifted, and obviously winning 3 national championships after the fact, right, has been awesome. But just to hear you say guys are coming on board, I know I want to win a national championship. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So it's a long time coming, but I'm sure it's been around for a decade now. But it's just really good to hear.
What's cool to me though is even though you guys are a blue blood in men's volleyball, at least for the last 25 years. Or maybe longer since we've been playing, and since the early 90s, you guys, Long Beach has been as good or better than anyone in the country. You're still blue collar to me. And that's what I love about it. And even though you are getting like the Chris of the world, who are some of the best players in the country and possibly an Olympian soon, dad play there was pretty good. But, you're getting those kids. He's still to me, because I love him, and my son played basketball with him. Even though he's like the best player in the country, he's still that blue collar kind of kid to me. And that's why I love you guys. And I still do. And obviously Alan's been there and I'm going to continue, but it's because of that mentality, that work ethic, that style of who you guys are. You've never changed that. You haven't changed that since I met Alan and Schroeder and Hilly playing on that team back in 1990 with the Mark Kierans and Zach Small as a freshman and all those. It hasn't changed since that time. But the difference is, and you might be able to say it, Sully, and Nick, you might know the lore of Long Beach, but whether it was Ray or when Deli got there, those type of guys that they recruited back then, the ones I just mentioned, from that point forward, Long Beach has been Long Beach. It's been from Hilly, from Knight, from Winslow. You could go all the way down to you, Nick, to what you just had. You guys have been successful every year ever since. You might not have won the Natty, you might not have been in the championship, but I think since 1990 or 91, since you guys were there, Bear and Sully, you guys have been the best program in the country every year in and year out. And it's great to see it continue. But more importantly, the way you're talking about it is what makes me happy, because, my older son went through some different, we don't need to get into it, but portal, some issues at one of the programs he was at, just, wasn't what it was signed up for kind of thing. And just to hear you continue the success, but more importantly, want to believe in the guys and what they're doing after we all grow up, the ball stops bouncing for everyone. And to have that support and to know that you have a family behind you is pretty rad, that you continue to push that. And I would say as a parent, as an old coach and an athlete, is don't ever stop that. Because that's the thing that connects people like Bear and Sully, myself too, to your program. But it also, in a weird way, connects the young players to the program too. They've all been there. They've all been in that gym practice. And they've all wore that black and gold. And they've all wanted to win. And so it's cool. I'm happy for you, Nick. And I'm just happy to hear you continue talking about what makes Long Beach, from an outsider, kind of an insider, but an outsider. What makes Long Beach so great to me is all the stuff you continue to elaborate on what you're going to continue to do to make this successful. So I'm fired up for the beach.
And Nick, so you've been there over a decade, right? Just right around a decade. It's your turn, right? Your mentor, one of the best that's ever done it, right? Yeah. And I think the phrase, Bear, was, I'm going to be the lighthouse, right? Nick, Lighthouse, McCrae. Anyway.
It's not the tugboat.
Yeah. Are you going to put your...
You want me to dive in on what that truly means?
Well, what I want to know is...
it might give insight to the world that I'm a faith-based coach and give some credit to God as well.
There you go. Attaboy. Love to hear that.
I would go back
Will you put your spin on Long Beach State?
Every individual, trying to ensure, and it's okay that every individual does have an ego, and then it's trying to ensure that I support every individual young man on their quest, as everybody has a certain arrival date, and it's not my specific arrival date that I'm going to pull them to. There's going to be a certain point where they may realize, coach is pulling me in this direction. At some point, I just have to be that lighthouse and show the way. You can only pull so far, because eventually they're going to try and push back and say, Coach, I did this for you, and I truly didn't do that for myself. So that's what I mean by being a lighthouse, is how direct and upfront can I be, not being just a car salesman that then 3 years from now, the guys blast through the door and say, Nick, you sold me something that was fake and phony and not legit.
Yeah.
So it's truly being myself, and that sort of lighthouse, direct and not having a fear of conflict with any sort of communication. That's what I mean by that. Yeah. So then it's, hey, you're taking ownership here. And then at the root of all of it, we're going to constantly offer or give offerings to the LB and to the greater good of the team. And then it's a balance of both. How can I feed the ego and the individual edge and then bring everybody back with the team? Because at the beginning of the year, before we do roles, it's ensuring that the base is as wide as possible, knowing that the starting 6 or 7 that start in our first match over time, and through my entire career, it hasn't been the starting 6 or 7 that play in the national championship match. So how many of those guys can I keep along for the ride from an individual ego standpoint? And then we get to a point, probably month 2, all right, this is your role. We've communicated about it. Are you still all in? Going from there, but it's constantly balancing the back and forth and not just pulling everybody along like the tugboat of let's manage your ego, let's manage the team, and let's do this thing together.
So throughout those years at Long Beach, usually assistant coaches have different ideas than the head coach, even though he's the best, right? But again, it's your turn now. Do you see yourself next couple of years immediately changing some things? I know you said to maintain it, right? But you've got to have some potentially different philosophies, even those you've won the couple of natties, kind of like Spiron, Al Skates, right? Kind of that transition, right? Do you see yourself kind of changing it up a little bit to have your style on it, or is your style the current style?
I'd say, and we've got 4 pillars that let's say the first pillar, because I've been saying it's the 4th one, but the first pillar is straight up compete as hard as you can and be a competitor every single day.
Okay.
But every day, if our guys can compete, if they can grow physically, mentally, spiritually, from a support standpoint, everyone's growing. And we use the craft of volleyball as the example of growth. Creativity is a big one. So that's how every single year, even with Alan and alongside him, we were adapting and doing something new. And we'd always say, it's this year's Long Beach State men's volleyball team is going to try and take the next risk of how the sport's going to be played. So constantly, the answer is yes, we're going to keep striving for more. And what is that more? And then daily connections. So it's maintaining those 4 core pillars of compete, connect, grow, and create. And then taking the risk to go on the next step of the ladder. Absolutely. But it's not just doing things randomly.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, having Alan, my mentor, a part of it and asking him questions, and then taking volleyball aside as how can I help progress the business? Mm-hmm. Now that we don't have the 4.5 scholarship rules, Alan's helped break down so many walls there, and we've got more scholarships. We've got a revenue share infrastructure, which is different. So not that we're getting funded with a revenue share, but I can fundraise for this revenue share stream. And we both with Alan and myself, we helped dive into the NIL collective world. So we have all these 3 tiers that have at least molded Long Beach State men's volleyball. And now I get to take some creative, strategic risks to put my name on something moving forward. But it won't just be me. I'll talk about McCrae Smith, who's another Long Beach legend. He's on staff.
Yeah.
Amir Lugo Rodriguez, who's another Long Beach legend, who's on staff. I've got a director of player development. I mean, I can say whatever I want to say. He's his name. He's got the same initials as Alan Knipe, but his name is not Alan Knipe, and he's playing professionally overseas. And he's going to be my director of player development. Aiden Knipe is his name, and we've got our 3rd assistant coach, who you're going to absolutely love. And I can't wait to circle back with all of you. He's a Long Beach legend, and I'm waiting to allow him to announce it in a couple weeks. But when that comes out, you're going to be like, holy moly, these guys are continuing to do it the right way. And I'm beyond proud. It's not just my next strategic risk is like, okay, I've got a room of greatness that all of these coaches, they're going to be head coaches at some point. They may even be the next head coach after me, and that's part of the gig. That's where my ego's aside of like, we're all going to keep moving the mark together, and that's why Long Beach State men's volleyball is going to strive for sustainable success in the future because of that.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit away from Long Beach for 1 second, because you mentioned one of the goals for you was to be United States Olympic coach.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're seeing men's volleyball, we have a couple new programs opening up. Pacific's back. Obviously, we lost Grand Canyon. If you want and plan on, and I expect you will, coach this Olympic team, our Olympic team, what's your advice, help, involvement over the next 2 to 3 years while you're maintaining that whole Long Beach approach, because that's your job, to help or find a way to grow the game of men's volleyball here within the United States? It's probably a tough question to answer.
I'm just making sure I do take a breath before diving into, like, I will, being a national champion and now taking the greatest men's volleyball coaching seat in the country and taking over for one of the best that's going to continue to go around the world and do it. It's not taking any time off. It's ensuring that we go across the country and spearhead this thing. And so I ran a USA NTDP event that had 200 kids. We actually had it in the gold mine a couple weeks back.
Oh.
So I ran that on a Sunday, and there were 10 other college coaches there. We did it together. And then the Thursday that week, so 4 days later, I ran a 350 kid event. It was a SoCal Cup showcase with them 30 other men's volleyball coaches. Wow. I got to spearhead it. I wasn't representing Long Beach State. I was representing USA. But I take that example of, say, I'm willing to show up anywhere in the country for people that are willing to open up doors and build experiences for boys volleyball growth. And I'll collaborate with any coach that comes from pure intent and love and wants to grow the sport as well. But for those coaches that like to take jabs or knock things down, I probably won't show up with those guys. But people with good intent, I'm all in, man, and I will show up.
Yeah, interesting. So kudos to your wife and your kids.
Yeah, I know. I got a good team.
You're gonna got, because we bring this up. I bring it up a ton. How if your significant other doesn't get it, man, your job is 10 times harder. 10 times harder. But if you have a significant other and family that gets it, it's so fruitful. Your job is so fruitful. So kudos to your wife. I don't know if she hears it enough, but your kids too, growing up, they're going to see dad not around that often, but when he's there, I'm sure you're present. I've seen social media pictures of you guys on the beach and stuff. So that's really important. And I'm sure that really was a sit down conversation when, Al had it with you. He went straight home and said, okay, are we ready to do this? Because it is a huge commitment, and you being involved with the USA as well. So yeah, I didn't want that to go by without letting your wife know and their kids that it's super, super important, and proud of them to say, hey, yeah, you got the green light, man, go for it.
Hey, so with your support staff, your family, I know him just a little bit, but I see him on media a lot, and your dad, Bruce, right?
Yeah.
What's his take on this thing? I know he's super proud, But you know, like, what's his role going to be? Tell us a little bit about that relationship. And he bleeds black and gold.
Yes,
He
He sure
does.
does.
And yeah, tell us a little bit about him, please.
Bruce, my dad is Mr. Long Beach.
Double D.
yes, he
And
is.
early Nick McCrae was a little bit insecure about that because I wanted to come to Long Beach State and stay in our community and kind of create my own path. And honestly, and I'll come back to my dad, but going through that relationship and accepting it and now taking like the lens of this is such a big honor to be able to do this in my Long Beach community with my dad supporting men's volleyball, with Alan supporting Long Beach State men's volleyball, with his son being a part of this with men's volleyball. You're seeing the family standpoint. How many then brothers have come to Long Beach State where there's been multiple siblings that play in our program. And now we're getting to the threshold of we've got 2 or 3 guys on our team whose dads and fathers played in our program. So you know who's able to connect with those guys who are following their fathers? Me, because I've done it. And it helps me with my student athletes and our guys even more.
Yeah.
But from my dad, man, he's proud, as we all know.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Long Beach. He sits front row. When you see him, you'll see his whole body's tattooed up. However, growing up and for 40 plus years, he was a vice president of UPS and he was in a suit job. So nobody at his work even knew he had tattoos on him. So he was 2 different people. He was a lobbyist and he taught me how to open doors for people, and he taught me relationship building and public speaking at its finest. So you add my dad, Bruce McCrae, mixed with Alan Knipe, I've got 2 of the best leaders and community members that will also support Long Beach State men's volleyball for the future. It's a win-win for me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have that kind of support, and I know you're grateful for it. And you know, it just warms my heart again to hear all those kind of stories and to see that, you know, you get a job to be your first job, not just coaching somewhere else, but to coaching there. Right? To coaching at your alma mater, where your father loves it, where you played, where you got recruited, where you grew up. I mean, it's just a great story, Nick. And, you know, like I said, we're honored to have you on here and just can't wait to continue to follow your success on it. And, again, like I said, I'm just excited for you.
So how did Alan approach you? Did he just sit next to you one day and go, "So you ready for this?" Or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. How do you prepare?
you knew it was coming to an end sometime, but like, how did he actually bring it up to you? Because obviously it was confidential and private and all that kind of good stuff. But was it casual? What is like, hey, we need to sit and talk. I'm ready. Like, how did it all go down?
All right. I got a 19-year relationship with Al.
Yeah.
He's coached me. He's mentored me in my craft. We've been business partners. We opened up a volleyball club together. We've run the biggest and best camps across the country. We've won championships. We've had I don't know about him growing as much as he's seen me grow and helped me grow. He was at my wedding. He's I've had my 3 children. He gave me father advice. I got to coach his son and be a part of the Knipe family for a huge chunk of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a perfect time of like, this is when it was said. He's been teeing me up for this moment. He helped ensure through conversations and guidance that I closed every other door and said, this is the path. And it wasn't about this is the exact time that it's going to happen, but it was, hey, for this next few years, it's more than likely going to happen. So you should ensure that you are prepared. He's taken his foot will never be off the gas pedal, but he allowed me to come next to him and say, Nick, you can take a lead in some other areas. And he allowed me to fly. And even let's use this fall, for example, and this is my lens of the fall. This fall was different in the sense he allowed me to lead. And I believe it was truly Al sitting back and saying, okay, is my baby, everything that I've built here, going to truly be okay? And I'm talking to other head coaches or just mentors out there now looking back, because that's the only example I have. Most people go through retirement or head coach changes like at the end of season. So whether it be in June or July. So this example allowing me to be with my mentor, to ask him true questions of, hey, what's your advice here? And then I believe he got to the point saying, all right, the ship's going to be just fine. And for me, I got my chance to fly even more. And then it got to that.
Cool. So it was a couple years in the making. You guys already had the discussion. That's awesome, man. That's really great. Yeah.
It goes to show you what we've always said multiple times is what a great, person Alan is, and wants everyone to be successful. And that's what matters to him. I also want to go back to one thing you said. I think it's important for young listeners, and people take this the wrong way, but you had said, when someone opens up the door for you to walk into it, and most people don't, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people think that's someone giving you a something free or giving you an advantage, and the answer, yeah, it is. That's why you work your ass off. That's why you grind every day. That's why you build relationships.
That's why you were offered the door.
Yeah. That's why the door was there. I'm not going to go on a tangent about Bronny, but listen, LeBron's one of the best to ever do it. He was able to open the door. It's not Bronny's fault. Bronny's jumped through it. He's doing better than almost all the guys that were drafted in front of him, statistically wise, in the G League. I'm not saying he's a pro for 20 years, but nonetheless, he opened the door. It's what we told our son when he graduated and got his master's. It's like, listen, here's a bunch of people we know. Jump on, talk to them, ask questions. They are all our friends, but you have to ask. And if you do, and they give you an opportunity, take it, right? That's what it's for. So I just didn't want that to be not really pushed upon what you said, because I think it's brilliant. I think it's important. And I think too many people are apprehensive about ego, instead of the whole point of your ego is you built a relationship with someone. Good, hopefully it's obviously a good one, and they're giving you a chance. They're not giving you $1 billion and saying you're going to be the MVP of the NBA. They're saying, hey, here's a chance to go in there. So take it. And so I'm glad that you mentioned it. I'm glad you took it. I'm glad Al opened the door for you. And like I said, I know you're going to do that for so many more young men, which is, as the softie, I've always been a softie, but as I get older as a father, to see young men being taken care of the right way, because our society has a lot of problems, and lots of problems. And we as individuals can only do so much, but we can do things. Your job, you're around a lot of young men. You can lead, you can create, you can help, you can encourage, you can lead them down the right path to be good men, to be good husbands, to be good patrons, to be good, all of it, whatever it is. That's what you can do. And we can do that for our children and so on. So for you to talk about that and to help young people reach those goals is more inspiring to me than going to the Olympics, even though that's all I ever want to do. And a lot of the kids you're going to coach and have coach will go to the Olympics. But it's about what they do after the Olympics, and they become what Alan is, which is an unbelievable, amazing human being who cares, right? So,
Nick,
man, am I selling Long Beach State? What am I doing?
I love it. You're starting to bleed back and gold too.
Theo's going to get a hold of you really quick after this.
Great too, guys. Theo's awesome. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, I got a question for you, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot on this, but I just want to hear your take. Okay, something new in college sports is the NIL, and you talked about it, and the porthole, right? Portal. Sorry, not porthole. Portal.
Sure.
Oh, God. So how are you going to deal with that? What's your thoughts and philosophies on that? Because that's a big deal. And when you started coaching, none of that was around, and now it is. And so what are you doing about that?
Let's talk. I'll talk me, but we'll talk conceptually, at least my theories of men's volleyball. And men's volleyball, it was a 4.5 scholarship sport for years. Now it's been opened up. Yeah. Like until a couple years ago. Yep. And now it's telling all men's volleyball coaches, and we're going to keep spreading this of, okay, well, women's volleyball has had 12 scholarships, and now they're pushing even more. It's Camp Men's Volleyball coaches and programs out there. If they get 12, and you're getting every coach probably saying, hey, that'd be amazing. I won't even dive into the NIL realm. Just give me 12.
Right.
So on our end, I get the honor, and this is with Alan, with some of the barriers that he broke down of every roster is going to be an 18-man roster.
Mhm.
which I think in my theory is that kind of eliminates the transfer portal, because like kids aren't just going to be going back and forth for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're trying to moat, and I'll speak for Long Beach State, our program where every young man that comes here, they're all getting their scholarship paid for. So the goal is to get to 18 scholarships. The goal isn't necessarily right now, and maybe it will 10 years from now when my kids are being recruited. The
Ready
goal
to
isn't
play.
to give hundreds of thousands of dollars like what we're seeing on the women's gig. The goal is still the holistic standpoint of how can I get everyone that comes here to bleed black and gold and they're getting their school and tuition paid for. That's how I can leave this program better than I found it. So the tears or the fears of like, oh my goodness, NIL and men's volleyball, I don't think it's there. We have the opportunity to do so. But my first focus is, okay, let's get everybody dialed in. Let's get 18 scholarships dialed in for Long Beach State men's volleyball, and then help other coaches, even though they're competitors, other coaches, I can help them problem solve. Here's fundraising mechanisms. Here's how you can talk to your AD and administration to, even if they don't support you, just so they get out of your way. And if you put in the work, you can go fund these mechanisms should you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very mid-major for the women's side. That's their philosophy. They can't fork out the 30,000, for a kid. It's the same thing. It's like, can we get to 18? Can we keep these kids? Can we keep our culture? Can we keep them? The hard part, and we've talked about this before, is you get a dime in the rough that you gave them a shot, and all of a sudden that money looks awfully attractive once you go to the transfer portal, that kind of scenario. But yeah, same message, I think. And did you coach a year on the women's side?
There was like a 6-month stint where I got to do both.
Okay.
Here at Long Beach State.
Yep.
And there was time. So one of my other mentors, Tyler Hildebrand, when he moved to Nebraska and he had dove into the women's realm, there was a lot of conversation going on of, okay, is my route, this is 2016 Nick McCrae, is the route the women's side or is the route the men's side?
Right.
So it was pretty cool to be able to do both, which was not sustainable doing both, but I got to do it here at Long Beach State and never have to have that kind of what if in the back of my mind. I got to make a choice of like, okay, men's volleyball is my route.
Yeah, awesome.
The thing about NIL and volleyball is, Bear asked it, is the reality is you're the head coach at Long Beach State. There's not a lot of NIL for men's volleyball. There also, by the way, I talked to a head coach this weekend, and there isn't as much as people think it is in women's volleyball either. There's a few schools that are playing in the hundreds of thousands, but not that many. It's I don't want to say pretend, but the revenue just isn't there. And what I would say to you, Nick, and I've said this to a few other coaches on there, and this is what I believe as a father, is go make your own money. That's what the whole fucking thing was for in the first place.
Yeah, agreed.
Like if you really are worthy of a sponsorship for someone to pay you $100,000, then prove your worth. Whatever that is, if you have 1 million followers or, you whatever it is, you're the best basketball player in the country and everyone wants to see you on a Wheaties box, great. But for volleyball players, I feel that's where the NIL should be celebrated and talked about. Like, listen, hey guys, when Sully and Bear and Coley were in college, we couldn't even get a sandwich.
Couldn't get a job either.
Or a job, or we would lose our scholarship money.
Yep.
You guys can go out and get free food, free drinks, people putting you up at hotels, bar service at clubs because it's fine. You can do so much stuff if you just put your business hat on and said, hey, I want to go make money. You can do it. So go do it.
Yeah, you
That's
can get
where I would sell it. That's the way I'd
paid internship now. You can get a paid internship towards what you want to do afterwards. We couldn't do that. We
couldn't do any of it.
Nope.
Like any of it. And so there's got to be bars and restaurants and places and businesses in Long Beach that I know you guys go after at school and stuff. But hey, maybe there's a sandwich shop and the next setter has a great, term that he could use and go gets 50 cents a sandwich every time Long Beach.
For sure.
Things like that.
That stuff exists. So even before the NIL opened up, that's why Alan and myself, we'd opened up a volleyball club. So our guys, should they want to put in the work and should they need to make more money, it was still the going rate, but we opened up a club right on campus to allow our guys at least the ease of access. If you want to put in the work and you want to go like work on your craft, which is coaching volleyball, it's pretty easy. It's everything we're talking about. You can just walk across campus to the gold mine, and you'll get the going rate. You can find additional money there. So and then also we do camps all year, same thing, right in the pyramid. Our guys have opportunity to work and put in the work to make money. And we've set up that infrastructure alongside Al, so our guys do have options. And it's not just give me the guarantee and I don't have to do anything. The key word behind it at Long Beach State, you're always going to have to put in the work.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you guys opened up that the club Pinnacle too, because being a former player and then coaching, and if I could have coached as a player, I mean, you just see the game at a different angle, and it helps your playing too. I think it's genius that you guys did that.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Guys, we have the Long Beach State head coach for men's volleyball, Coach Nick. Thanks for coming on Set the Pipe, man. We wish you all the best and future success. We'll be rooting for you for every match out there. So again, thanks for coming on Set the Pipe, boys. What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to have you on again, Nick, as the future goes on, just to continue to talk about you, whatever your next endeavor is while you're coaching Long Beach in the USA, whatever it would be. But I'm going to make sure Bear, he doesn't like to go to many live volleyball matches, but we'll get to a couple games in the pyramid. I'll get on the schedule right away and come out to some of those games and, sit myself in the sandbar. And then, I got to be there last year when you guys beat UCLA early on in the season. I was right behind laughing at Alan and Andy, and it was an unbelievable
UCLA shirt.
My son played hoops at UCLA. Yeah, my wife went to UCLA. I had to kind of wear it.
CK did mention, though, Al did come on the morning after they won the Natty. It's kind of tradition, don't you think, boys? It's kind of tradition.
Yeah. I'll be making that phone call.
State schools for sure. If Northridge ever wins one, I'm going to have Theo on the night of.
Yep. Cool, man. Best of luck, brother.
To you three legends, thank you for the opportunity. And I look forward to coming on many more podcasts. And I actually throw a pitch to you guys. Let's do a live podcast here in the pyramid, the four of us together. That'd be pretty great. I would love to.
I think it's a done deal. When we get Sully out here from Illinois, we should plan a match, a weekend, Sully, that you're going to be with all your Long Beach State guys. Maybe there's 2 matches on the weekend. Come on out. We can do a pod. Us 4, grab a few of the legends, a lot of the guys that I beat and ended their careers. I mean, it'd be great to have them out.
No, Nick, you have mentioned that before, like maybe coming down to a practice or something, or after practice and having a round table, and maybe Coley and I can come up and we can satellite Sully in, and we'll go live on that. I think that's a great idea, and love to do that.
The 91 team, were you having a reunion this year?
We are, and the date has not been set. I'm going to wait until Al gets back mid-January, and I'll connect with you with what works for you, because now we're doing
I'm the furthest one away, I guess, but not the only one out of state. But
maybe you play Northridge that night.
Ooh,
who knows?
That would be great.
Have Coley wear a Long Beach shirt. Just saying.
I'll wear 2. I'll wear Long Beach.
I don't know if that would happen.
It wouldn't. Cool. But one of my favorite things, I'll tell you, Nick, real quick, when I was at Northridge, because I was a lot different that day, but I'd be walking around campus with people, and someone would have like a USC shirt on, right? We're just in the campus. I'd be like, dude, wow, what time's the game tonight? And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I said, is it at 7? Is it in the gym? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're at SC, right? They're like, no, I go to North. Then what the fuck are you wearing a USC shirt?
I'm the same way.
What are you doing? Like, that was my favorite.
I'm the same way.
I learned this from Al, and I think they did something. It was President Maxson here at Long Beach State years ago. If you were to turn in a different university shirt, they would give you a Long Beach State shirt. So like, all right, time to go take some Long Beach State men's volleyball shirts around campus. Say, hey, we're going to trade you, but you're going to wear this.
That's awesome. That might be a good thing for your boys to go out and do some outreach on the student, is like walk around and say, oh, do you go to Hawaii? You don't? Does your boyfriend go? Oh, no. Then what the fuck are you wearing a Hawaii shirt? Here's a Long Beach State shirt. We play tomorrow night against UCLA. Come on down. Let's go.
How about this, Nick, though? I only have 3 stars on my hat. I know there's 4.
Hats.
I'm lagging on that. So maybe, can I turn this thing in for a 4-star?
You don't need to turn it in. You'll get a couple more hats. That is easy peasy. And so I'll get one mailed to you as well.
Awesome. And we're anytime we go to Lewis and Loyola, I'm there for sure. Cool. That's where we met last time at Lewis. That was a fun time. So, guys,
all the best to you, Nick. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for taking time. Congratulations on your success, and we're cheering for the beach. Go beach! I said it. Go beach.
A million people coming at you, and you came on our show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.